This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I am here with Tye Glover, and we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One, he has a company called InvestOut, where he teams up investors with homeowners, and they can strategize to bring the house to market and share profits. Number two, there's an ideation,
right? Exactly.
Ideation tower.
Yeah.
Which is a way to run multiple projects together at one time. So we're going to work our way through kind of two of the topics because they, in a way, kind of mesh. So, Tye, how you been doing today?
I've been doing well. As mentioned before, COVID positive, meaning I've been really doing great during this whole period of time. I have no complaints at all.
Well, you got to stay positive during this time. There's a lot of changes, but we did really well during the COVID time too. So I know some others weren't that fortunate, but we got our prayers up for everybody. So let's start with you. Where are you from? What are you doing?
So I'm out of Philadelphia. I've been here probably for close to since 2002 when I moved out of New York City. And as mentioned before, I kind of went through some trials and tribulations. I went through a process of a divorce that was highly destructive. And from that event or that experience, this whole idea of InvestOut came to play. It was a matter of me, first of all, trying to minimize the risk associated with that divorce and losing everything. So looking for ways to get rid of the property, to get rid of a property that needed a lot of work to be done, without losing my shirt, because that's what I was pretty much being offered, just a shirt. And, from those obstacles, from those challenges, I was able to create a concept that's that whole maximize opportunities part. I work to minimize risk and maximize opportunities, and it really worked out well for that one.
Yeah, cool. So you're in Philly, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So let's talk about InvestOut first. Tell us in a nutshell what InvestOut is.
So InvestOut has been adjusting, has been changing since I've been getting more experiences about the marketplace itself. In a nutshell, we're a marketplace. First of all, we partner homeowners who know their homes could sell for more if renovated with investors who want to get in there. They don't want to buy the home because that means more capital available for other renovations. They just want to come in and do the renovation. And then once the home sells, they get their money, they walk away. That homeowner gets considerably more money because the home is now sold at maximum value. But we've also opened it up. We're wholesalers. The big thing is allowing people, especially on the sales side, to be able to see the financials when they may not understand the numbers. And here you're just putting in some basic information about that property, whether you're a wholesaler or a homeowner or even a realtor. Obviously, people want to know the description, number of rooms, square footage overall, and all those details. But just as importantly, if you're going to sell it, how much do you want to sell that property for? If you want to actually partner as a homeowner or a realtor, what is the deal as far as how you want to partner? Meaning that you're putting in there what you believe to be the current value of the home. In its current position, I believe it is X value. I believe B, it needs about X or Y amount of increase. It needs a certain amount of investment to go into that property. And then C, once it's actually sold, it can sell it for a certain amount. With those three pieces of information, that homeowner can very easily calculate out what's in it for them if they decide just to sell it directly out to that home, to that investor, or if they decide to actually partner with that investor and raise the value, they get to see exactly how much additional money they're going to make. And I think the best part about it, Mitch, is that the homeowners don't have to share their information. They won't have people contacting them, trying to call them about the property itself on the marketplace. They put it out there, and then offers can come in and they can decide which investor potentially they may want to talk to. So that was important for me. The pain itself of going through potentially a loss of a property, let alone the challenge associated with my ego of having to talk to investors who know my situation, or at least think they know my situation. And that was difficult, but being able to create an anonymous environment where people can decide, are we in the same ballpark? Once you decide you're in the same ballpark, you accept that offer, and then now you guys can start having that conversation about the possibilities and see whether in fact you'd like to move forward or not.
So tell us about one of your success stories with InvestOut.
We actually, and I've been saying this the whole time, we are not live yet. We are actually going live. By the time you launch the show, I would imagine in another week or 2 weeks, we'll be live.
Okay.
It has taken us so much time just to get the communications together about what a homeowner is going to see, because we're not talking about people who necessarily know about the numbers. They need it really cut and dry and clear. Same thing with investors. They want it to be very clear. And it's taken us a while to get there because, I use the concept of more near than before. I recognize the fact that I can't do all this stuff. I'm not going to get venture capital money. I think 0.05% of the people who actually need and want get venture capital money, which means it's not going to happen for me. So I've had to figure out a way to be able to bring these projects to fruition so they don't die with me. And using a concept of more near than before, I'm not really thinking about that compressed timeline of it's got to be there right now. I can actually take my time. I can move that project forward slowly, methodically, making sure that, in fact, when things need to be done, I'm having those things done. But most of the time, when it comes to any of these projects, it's sitting, hurrying up and waiting. Therefore, I can just take advantage of that time, take advantage of the fact that time changes everything.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the struggles of building a software. I've been through it myself. Everything takes 10 times more money and 10 times longer than you think. But
yeah,
how do you persevere?
I think, a big concept, again, more near than before, recognizing that things do take time, recognizing that if you actually put out that budget or you expect you're going to have to put out a certain amount of money, you're probably going to have to double it. Whenever I talk to a developer, they ask me that budget and I never tell them a budget because I guarantee you they will live up to that budget. So I always tell them to tell me how much it's going to cost you. And then I can decide whether, in fact, again, we're in the ballpark or not. But to your point, it can be a challenge, but I've been in the IT field for close to 25 years. So I know how to do things that can help them move the process forward. And I've been using Fiverr, Upworks, those sites since 2010. So I've got a lot of experience of actually bringing these servants online and letting them do all my work while I'm doing more important things.
I understand. So let's talk about, so that's InvestOut. So
right.
When that comes available, let us know. We'll push it out. It's a way to put homeowners who know their houses need renovations to get the maximum price
right.
together with investors who know how to get it there. And then they share in the upside of that increase, right?
Yeah, just as much, though, it's also about wholesalers. I mean, you've got wholesalers that find property. They have that property for a preset period of time. And a lot of times they don't necessarily know who to talk to or how to get that home in front of an eye, in front of a possible investor or an aggregator. So this is also that way. $9 a month. Your first month is free. $9 a month. You can load any number of properties that you want onto that site. And not only are you getting that property in front of more eyes, but again, you're also getting more offers and you're seeing the financials calculated directly for you there. So it really takes a lot of the work away from having to go and figure out how you're going to move that property, because now you've got a marketplace where you can post it on and at a very affordable price. And once you get it posted, you can share it on Facebook. So you don't have to worry about it just staying there. You can share it around your community.
Yeah. So it's also going to help the wholesale community.
Exactly.
So let's talk about is there anything else we need to know about InvestOut, or can we move on to the ideation tower?
No, I think that's the key, being able to bring people together to create that bridge and make it easy to understand the numbers, even for that novice wholesaler who's just getting into the game. There's a lot of questions about, how much I should be asking, how much I should offer to the homeowner and so forth. It kind of helps to remove those questions from the table because it gives you the number based on what you input in.
Okay. All right. And so that should be out shortly, maybe by the time we
that will be out by the time you air.
All right. So I'm looking for the link that we used last time. So last time we used 1000houses.com/Tye, Tye. So I'm still going to use that again. So you guys want to know more about InvestOut, go over to 1000houses.com/Tye, Tye, and learn about InvestOut,
right.
And talk to Tye about it, see if it's right for you. And then I also want to talk about this ideation tower. So talk to me about ideation. Where'd you
I
get
think
that
that's
name, by
been
the
my
way?
my
Ideation.
ideation, the idea, and
Idea.
thinking about. Yeah, that's really been my passion. I think we all have things that we know we're good at, and that's one thing that I call my instinctive advantage. I'm naturally inclined to try to find ideas where nothing exists, trying to find solutions. And so, of course, probably most folks, even in your audience, have those stats and notebooks piled up with designs and with drawings and with things that they were going to do. And these things may still be highly viable concepts. But I think about what Les Brown said when he was talking about the fact that his greatest fear is lying on his deathbed and having the ghost of all those ideas that he had ever thought of come to him and say, what happened? We came to you out of all the billions of people we could have gone to, and we came to you, and now we die with you. And I tell you, that's been my greatest fear as I go from one project to another idea to another idea. I recognize the fact that time moves on, and I've got a certain amount of time to be able to bring these ideas to fruition. So that's what started me thinking about how I really manage my projects. And I think about it in terms of an airport where I've got my new routes, and my new routes are those ideas that you just think of at the top of your head. They may have no value to them. You're not really going to consider them much further, but you want to jot them down because it may be something you want to come down to or come back to. The next one are what I call outbound gates. Now, these are the projects that may have moved on from the new routes. These are projects you've given a little bit more thought to. You may have checked out, is there a market there? Is there an opportunity? Whatever it is that you want from an idea, that's what you're looking for. If it passes that gate, it goes to taxi out. And at this point, we haven't spent any money. It's more so just a matter of figuring out whether, in fact, these projects are actually something that you can do or not. And one thing that you do there is you do what's called a well-informed outcome for outbound gates. You're recognizing the fact that, well, what do I need to bring this to fruition? Who needs to be involved? What resources? What is my potential timeline on bringing this to fruition? Biggest question you'll ever ask yourself, though, is, can I do this? Because if you can't do it, there's no reason to move it further into any of the gates. If it passes that gate, you're moving it on to takeoff. Takeoff is where you're starting to expend either that capital, that time, that energy, because you're moving that project. And if you think about it from an airport standpoint, the most important times or dangerous times for a plane is at takeoff and landing. And I think of it the same way, which means I focus my attention on the activities taking off and landing. Once it's in the air, then that's cruising. And this is where most of the projects may spend a year, 2, 3, 5 years. If you're working on a book series, for example, where you're leaving it up in the air and you're adding incremental value. I think about the fact that the lowest point, and I believe it was the Indian Ocean, was roughly 29,000 feet below sea level, going up to the highest point, 29,000 feet above, is Mount Everest. It took 50 million years to go from the lowest point to the highest point, but it did it at a rate of a half of an inch per year. Incremental, just small moves. I make small moves with my projects, and they may not seem like a lot, but when you look out across the course of a year, you've moved that project quite a bit that you didn't even recognize. And I just put my projects in the air, and I will move them all through to the different stage gates until I land them. And then depending on what's happening with that project, I'll put it back up in the air again, because again, the end goal isn't necessarily capital or selling that idea or bringing in that market. Your end goal may be, at this point in time for this flight, maybe just bringing your site up, or maybe whatever specific piece that you know is doable if you chunk it into a segment that you can do. That's how I work my projects. And I think I've got close to 5 or 6 different projects flying right now at different stages of that journey.
So is ideation a software that you track your progress, or what is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I do is I use an ideation board that I keep on my wall, where I will literally move a plane with the project's name on it to different places. And I have points outlined below what I need to be thinking about. With the ideation tower, it's not about a project management tool or software, because there's 1,000 different tools and softwares available. This is more so about what you need to be thinking about and the solutions that you need to be creating for the problems that you've outlined at any given step along that flight. And so I move those projects through, but I also use, it is a project management software designed for more so my ideation. I use something called Asana, where I will move my different projects and I will have those questions that I ask of myself of those various projects, so I can make sure I'm capturing the keys. So the big thing for me is the experiences. Everything comes from experience. I think there's an expression called as is below, so is above. And what it means is you can't get something from nothing. If I were to tell you to think about a car, think about driving a red car right now, you may have an idea of a car in your mind. You may have a picture of that car. If you've ever had a red car, you'd probably maybe sitting in that red car. You may even be remembering an experience of driving down a highway in that red car. If you had never known of a red car or of a car or of the color red, then you would never be able to pull those different experiences together to create a new idea. And that's the same thing with experiences. You need to have experiences in order to be able to create new ideas. I think it was Steve Jobs that says, you can only connect the dots looking forward. You can't do anything, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. You can't do anything foresight. You have to find those reference points, and that's where new ideas come from. And so that's what that ideation control tower helps. It helps me to create those ideas, to pull the different pieces together. So maybe in a year from now, I look back at my notes and now I've got the key pieces to solve those problems that I really thought existed as being problems.
So is ideation a concept or a theory, or is it something people can buy? Is it a something physical they can buy, or is it just a concept?
Well, right now I do coaching on ideation, on helping people basically to scale in ideas. It's very difficult to understand the concept of scale, especially even when it comes to time. But when you can start, say, for example, understanding when the Roman Empire, when Marcus Aurelius lived, or going back to the time of Jesus, or going back even before, very few people can actually put an event at a specific time within that timeline. But if you can start to learn to see three-dimensionally from the standpoint of time, then you can start to actually apply that three-dimensional understanding of scale to other ideas. And that is really where you start moving in the flow with regards to ideation and thinking. And that's what I really focus in on.
All right. Well, man, I think a lot of people, I have a saying, right. The hardest thing an entrepreneur will ever do is have one great idea and finish big. So, we have too many ideas, we get spread too thin, and everyone thinks, a great idea is just that. It's just a great idea. Someone has to take it to market. I mean, the greatest ideas in the world will sit, and earn nothing until the world hears about them or catches on to what they do or become known as to what they do. And so that's always the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs, is that they start a lot of things, but they don't finish, because honestly, every new idea or every new concept that you want to bring to market, it really takes everything you have for a year or two, like everything you have. If you think, it's just going to come to fruition without the inventor's energy behind it, it's probably not going to happen, because someone has to drive it all the way to the finish line. And usually that's the one guy who thought of it and was sold on it enough and believes in it enough when no one else believes in it. No one believes in it. So just don't get spread too thin. You know what I mean? And the only other way that I've known to start multiple projects is to stay in my lane and then start talking to other people that are experts in the field, they're experts in the field, and ask them if they want to partner with me.
Yeah.
Like I asked my software company when I was doing LiveComm, LiveComm.com, they said, this is a really great idea. And I said, well, can you do it? And they said, yeah, we can do it. It's going to take some time and some money. And I said, how much time and how much money? And they told me. Then they said, they kept saying, it's a really good idea, though. You should be able to make your money back and a lot more, and a whole lot more. And I said, well, how good of an idea do you think it is? And they said, really, really good. And I said, how would you like to own 50% of it? And they said, how would we do that? And I said, build it for free. And he goes, why would you do that? And I said, well, if you build something shitty, you'll have half of a shitty
Right.
product. If you build something really good, you'll have
Right.
half of a really good project. I won't have to police you anymore,
Yeah.
and I won't have to write any checks. And I'm really just trying to get this piece of software to solve my own business problem. But if we do it together as a company, I mean, as a partnership, then you've got to add one feature. You've got to have subscription to it and collections and sales.
Yeah.
So if you want to build it like that, you can have 50%. And they said, yes. So I solved my immediate problem of what I needed it for, but then it kept going on to more and more. And that's how I picked up my partner. My point was, don't spread yourself too thin. Usually what happens is my business has some kind of exhaust running out of the tailpipe, or, you know, my example is like, if your business is to make trees into boards,
Right.
you're going to have a pile of sawdust stacked up next to you, and it's going to get huge. Right. The more boards you make, the bigger that pile is going to get. Right. Now you can pay to haul that sawdust off, or you can partner with somebody who's a professional at making sawdust into boards.
Right.
Or pencils, or whatever the hell, you know, throwing poison and mixing it up in poison, putting it in a bag and putting it around your house to keep the ants from going in your house, you know, whatever, some kind of insecticide or something. Right. So I would find someone who was like head of one of those, I mean, running one of those companies that says, I don't want to run someone else's company anymore. I want to run mine. I know all about this. You just give me the sawdust. I'll do the rest, sir. Yeah. My half of the business was the sawdust. Right. Right. You know, plus some strategizing, some talking, some, you know, I mean, you know, maybe there's monies to be raised or whatever, but mostly I'm coming to the table with a bunch of sawdust, an endless stream of sawdust, you know. Now I need someone else. And I'm not the guy to take over the board making or the pencil making or the, that's not your space. It's not my space. So I got to go partner with someone who is exactly their space. They already know how to get it to market. They already know where the distributors are. They already know the price. They know where to get the material and the glue and all the pieces it's going to take to do this. They know how to hire the people. They know all of that. And that's how I partner when I have multiple deals in the air, is to make sure that I find the right partner. Or I never, to use your vernacular, I never even send the plane out onto the taxiway. You know, I never even take it out of the hangar, because I'm not moving until I got the partner to move with. Right.
See, and you know, I understand what you're saying. I haven't been able to be fortunate with that particular journey. And I've done that for years. And I would go through the ups and downs of the emotions of bringing a project up. And then, you know what? I had an experience back in 2007 where I had an idea. We'd spent a considerable amount of money on it. And it was a great concept. We had won awards with Hartford Insurance Company. And on September 12th, 2008, we met with Lincoln Financial to present this idea, some of the top people there. But you know, the day we met was the same exact day Lehman Brothers folded, which means the money we had spent was gone. It was DOA. So the idea was viable, it was workable, and it's something I'll probably pull back out again, because with an innovation, they're typically still viable for a long period of time. But that's the key that I work with. I work with that concept of not having to compress everything within 1 week or 1 6-month period or a year, because I don't have the money, or I don't have the network or the influence that you have. But I know that if I stretch it out for 3 or 4 years and I stay focused on it, and I move that project forward incrementally, I'll get it there. I don't have any stress anymore about it. I had a venture capitalist told me once, they weren't going to give me any money, but they told me, move forward with it. It's a great idea. You need to get it to market as quickly as possible. I'm like, well, how the heck am I going to do that? You gave me a non-action item. It's something I couldn't do. But in working it from the standpoint of taking my time and not stressing over it and making those incremental steps, I have pushed it forward, and now we're launching. So I'm really happy with at least the way things are moving forward. I don't let them stress me anymore.
Well, man, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast today. I appreciate everything you're doing. Let us know when InvestOut consummates and you're ready to put it out, and I'll
surely will
show it to the world, see what they think. And it's my pleasure to have you, Tye. Thank you.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you for your time and attention.
All righty.
Cheers.
Hey, this is Mitch Stephen with the 1000houses.com podcast. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Livecomm, LIVECOMM.com. If you're into a little bit of technology, taking your company to a new level in a different direction, check out Livecomm. It's all about lead generation and mass texting. If you're not using it, you're missing out. It's probably some of the most targeted, most affordable advertising in the world, and its open rate is about 96%. It's just unheard of right now. So check out Livecomm, LIVECOMM.com. Find out why and how I'm using it to sell my houses with no signs. I have not even one sign in the front yard, and I'm selling my houses an average of 4 days on the market.
Wow.
It's almost, the cost is so small, it's not even worth talking about. It's ridiculous. So check it out. I'll show you how I combine a couple of technologies to make that happen. And it just gets stronger every day. So check out livecomm.com, LIVECOMM.com. Thank you so much for being our sponsor, and we appreciate you too. All right. I think that's it. We're out of here, Tye.
All right, sir. Thank you very much again, Mitch, for your time and attention and your insights.
Thank you, man. Bye
All
now.
right. Cheers.